Y'all, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we're going to be taking a look at Jazwares Pokemon Butterfree figure. Butterfree, the butterfly Pokemon, is a dual-type bug flying Pokemon who first appeared in the Gen 1 games Red and Blue back in 1996, 95, 96, one of those. It evolves from Metapods starting at level 10 and is the final form of Caterpie. And also, they have one of the best shinies in the entire Pokedex. Its wings are coated with poisonous scales that easily fall off as it flies and can cause several status conditions if inhaled. They also repel water. Its antenna can detect blooming flowers 6 miles from its nest, and their gender is determined by if there are dark spots on their hind wings. They are female if they have them, and if they lack this, they are male. All right, so this is the standard Jazwares Pokemon box. It does the job, but we're not here to talk about that. So let's go ahead and get this figure free from its plastic prison and see what we think about Butterfree. All right, y'all, fresh out the box, I'm in love. Just going to tell you, Butterfree just... as a character, they speak to my soul, and this figure is doing just that. I think it's absolutely adorable, and I think they totally nailed the sculpt. I mean, granted, it's fairly simple, so there's not a lot to mess up here, but there's also a lot of room to just make it pretty perfect, and fresh out the box, I am leaning more towards that. The paint and the sculpt looks excellent. Its little hands and feet are really cool, and its face is super cute, and the little teeth under the nose, presumably that's the nose. Sometimes it's hard to tell with Pokemon. And then the wings are fantastic. The stark white and black just really help to like make the figure pop, and it stands in contrast to the purple and teal that the body and hands and feet of the Pokemon feature. Now, one thing I wasn't sure of was how the wings were going to work. And I'm very happy to find out that there's not an action feature to this figure, because I'm not the biggest fan of action features. But technically there is an action feature here. It's just more analog, because the wings can flap, but that's only because they're just put in the back of the figure, kind of like plugged in, and they have some movement there to be able to shift from side to side and then, spread them open to where it looks like they're flying. But it's not a button you press or anything like that to make it happen. And I think they look great. So these Pokemon figures in this line typically don't come with an accessory. However, this one does. It comes with a base stand. It kind of cradles Butterfree's like stomach, and then like allows its legs to like hang out this backside of it, and it keeps them in like a flying position pretty snugly in my opinion. And I don't know, I like the way that they handled this, because I wasn't sure how they were gonna be able to make it to where he flew. I was like, are they just gonna put a hole in there or whatnot? But no, this is a neat solution, and I don't hate it. So there's that. According to Bulbapedia, Butterfree stands at 3 foot 7 inches tall and weighs around 70 pounds. This figure stands at 3 1/4 inches tall from its tiptoes to the top of its wings, and it weighs 1 ounce. Now let's see how it measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. Here they are with G.I. Joe Classified Outback and SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Black RX. Here they are with the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Pink Ranger and DC Universe Classics Killer Moth. Here they are with NECA's Sesame Street Count Von Count and Jada Toys Mega Man. Here they are with Super 7's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Casey Jones and Jada Toys Street Fighter Dhalsim. Here they are with Hasbro's Marvel Legends Spider-Man and Masters of the Universe Classics Fisto. Here they are with Figma's Samus and SH Figuarts Luigi. Here they are with the NECA knockoff colored bandana Michelangelo and the NECA Return to New York 4-pack Donatello. Here they are with the Bandai Pokemon Model Kit Gardevoir and Cinderace. Here they are with some medium-sized Pokemon from Jazwares. Here they are with some of the smaller Pokemon. Here they are with Figma's Marnie and SH Figuarts Ash. And here they are with the Pokemon Epic Battle Figure Gyarados and the Pokemon Select Golisopod. Butterfree is one of my favorite Pokemon. They just look so cute and cool. I don't know. They just speak to me. Maybe it's the compound bug eyes that I'm typically a sucker for, hence my love for Kamen Rider. Or maybe it's their little feet that look like hands. I mean, like, what are you going to do with those, little bug? I'm not exactly sure, but it's definitely love. And I've been waiting for a modern line to put one out, and finally Jazwares did. Although it took forever for me to happen upon one. In fact, I got this one off eBay because I was tired of waiting on it. And of course, when I get it, I see it everywhere. But regardless of my acquisition woes, this figure is pretty cool. Again, I love the sculpt and paint. They look fantastic. They've got a very nice weight to them. And I know that there's not a lot here, but what is here is just sparking joy, and I just really dig it a lot still here at the end of the review. I was beginning to think that they might be a little too big, but I went and looked at some comparison shots of them in the anime, and I think that they are appropriately sized because, you know, the anime scale is a little sliding here and there, but generally I think it's pretty close to the same size. It might be a hair too big, but I don't think it's enough to not get this figure. I think it's just kind of like in that weird gray area where it could go either way. But for me, it totally works. I absolutely love looking on the shelf and seeing this figure just sitting there, just hanging out. And that just makes me so happy. So I am very happy to have this in my collection. I had a ton of fun posing him with different action figures, and especially all of the Pokemon figures from Figma and SH Figuarts. They go very well with all of them. And I don't know, I kind of feel like any Pokemon collection without Butterfree is kind of incomplete. So I feel really good that, like, he's here now. So now I could die happy, kind of, is what I'm saying. That's really what I'm getting at. I know that's a lot to put on Butterfree, but here we are. I don't know what else to tell you. I had a blast with him. The wings, the mechanic is interesting. I like that there's not a button, or it's more organic and kind of just practical, for lack of a better term, I guess. And I'm really impressed with the stand. The way that they engineer these clear acrylic stands is pretty neat, and the way that they use physics and certain things to make them stand in this line, I'm really digging that, and I really appreciate it. The only problem I have with them, not with this one in particular, but with some of the other ones I've had, is that they do break, and at that point you're kind of like, ugh. But thankfully, Butterfree can kind of just stand on his own with the help of his wings and his tiptoes. He can still stand if that breaks. So you do have kind of like that option if need be. But I think that if that did break, you could probably figure out a way to get like a SH Figuarts stand that they sell that are not terribly expensive, and probably have them, you know, hook underneath the wings or something. You could probably figure it out. But the one that came with Butterfree, I don't really see it breaking. I think it was one of the ghost Pokemon that broke on mine, and that's what was giving me some trepidation, or at least some concern whenever I saw that they were including it. But then the fact that they just kind of like rest in it is kind of funny to me. Like, I don't know, because they're not sitting on it. They're kind of just putting their belly on it, and that is supporting them. So yeah, I don't know. It's just really neat, and it's at an angle, so there's a slight like action-y kind of pose to it. So it's not just so static, like they're just floating there. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that's kind of my take on it. Given that it was a cartoon and a manga and all this stuff like that, and a video game character, you can mix and match them with, like, you know, video game figures like Mario and Mega Man, as well as like some of the Street Fighter figures if you need to for some reason. And then they go well with some Marvel Legends. So, you know, they're one of those Pokemon that can kind of like work with a lot of that stuff. So your mileage may vary, but I think you can get a decent amount of cool shots and interplay, I guess, for lack of a better term, with this figure. And yeah, I really can't say enough good stuff. I'm just super glad to have this figure in my collection, and I'm very glad that it does not have an action feature. Thank you, Jazwares. And so if you're a Butterfree fan, this is a total get. If you just like butterflies, then I mean, they are the butterfly Pokemon after all, so there you go. If you only collect Gen 1 figures, then they check that box. If you collect characters that appear in Super Smash Bros., then I believe they show up a time or two, I think. Or if you, like me, were tired of your collection being Butterfree free and want it to be Butterfull, this Butterfree will surely do the trick. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, hit subscribe and let me know in the comments. Are you a fan of Butterfree? Do you wish that they also came with a scarf like they do in the anime? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. And until then, else time.